Hey guys, AscendantGod here with Raid Shadow Legends, taking a look at patch 1.10. It is the day after the patch went live. Patch went live on the 8th of August 2019. It is the 9th now. I wanted to have a little bit of time to get feedback from other players for things that I don't have and get some news and do a little bit of research and everything. So now I have enough info that I feel it's worthwhile to throw this out there and give you guys an update on what's changing here. So gonna skim through this, take a look at the game. So as far as the changes, first new feature, new faction, dwarves. Dwarves are not anything that spectacular, regretfully. I'm not sure if you've looked at the dwarf faction yet, but the legendary here is nothing that great. He might be okay for dungeons, like increases champions attack, so his attack scales when he kills enemies, ignores shields and block damage. That could be a pretty decent attack, but it's all based off of hit points and attack, which is kind of frustrating because then you have to scale both in order to make him attack hard. But he may hit hard though, I'm not sure. From first glance of him, where he doesn't even have any debuff, this just attacks one enemy and it's based on hit points and attack, so I'm not even sure. Unless that damage is really powerful, no. And 50% target's defense, again, that could be powerful since it ignores half the defense, and then ignores shield and block damage. So I don't know. I don't see him as being anything that great. Definitely not for arena, unless he hits so hard that he could one-shot champions. But yeah, from what I'm seeing, he is nothing that spectacular. He might be okay for dungeons because his damage will scale up, but certainly not arena, certainly not clan boss. Grizzled Jarl. This guy here, again, nothing that spectacular. Has a 75% decrease attack, decreases max hit points. I mean, that's okay. Like, it's a decreased attack, so that could be nice, but the most you can get it down to is 4 turns, so you can't keep it up at all times. And then a block debuffs, buff on all allies, and the 60% increased defense. This could be decent. And then this, the heal reduction, I mean, I don't see anything particularly spectacular for him for arena, maybe for dungeons as a defense, but again, just not seeing anything that spectacular with him. And then the last one here I'm going to touch on, Ironhide. This guy is interesting because he gets more and more defensive over time. So where it says the 25% chance of decreasing damage inflicted on him by 50% each time this champion's attacked. So anyway, and then his other ability, 75% chance of placing a provoke and a counterattack buff on this champion. The thing that's frustrating is there's only a counterattack on him, not everybody, so especially for an epic, not that impressed. And then increases champion's defense by 4% each time the skill is used, stacks up to 20%. And that's where, like I was saying, this champion seems to be one that you'd want to bring through dungeons, where he gets more and more defensive throughout the encounter. But the thing is that provoke, it's not going to work on bosses, so not sure what the point of him really is. But again, not that impressed by him. I mean, I'm not a big fan of dwarves anyway. To me, they're just overweight midgets. But if people like dwarves, I don't know. Maybe some of that stuff will be decent. Obviously, they haven't been tested much. And if you look at the reviews are pretty much worthless. Because, I mean, this guy here, everybody gave him horrible reviews. But it's only been a day. You're not going to have maxed him out yet. But then, meanwhile, this guy has all 5s here. And so does the other epic champion, again all 5s, but it's only, what, 4 ratings, but yet everybody's rated him 5. That's just, no, there's no way he should be a 5. I do not see that. But anyway, next thing down the line here, the new buffs, Veil and Perfect Veil. Okay, now just you read the note here where it says champions with this ability will become available later. So I don't know that much about this. I've only heard rumor, and I don't like to spread rumors. All that I'm going to say is that it just looks like here where there's the Veil and Perfect Veil. Veil makes it harder to attack certain champions, and then Perfect Veil makes it so you can't attack them or you can't debuff them, something along those lines. It's, from what it sounds like, it could be something that's ridiculously overpowered overpowered, but it depends on how it's applied in the game. So we don't really have much feedback for this. Like I said, I'm not going to get into gossip and rumors. I've heard some, but I don't know how reliable any of that is, so I'm going to wait until it actually goes live to see how it's actually applied in the game. So moving down the line, new clan boss difficulty. This one was something that me and the clan were very excited about. So you got now Ultimate Nightmare in the game, but the problem is that we now have one more tier for, oh, excuse me, not Ultimate, Ultra Nightmare. But the problem is that all of the other clan bosses were nerfed. So whereas with Nightmare you used to get decent tombs like epics, and I believe even sometimes once in a rare while legendary tombs, now he drops rare tombs. And in all honesty, who is going to be fighting Nightmare that's going to actually need rare tombs? Honestly, so I don't know why they nerfed that the way they did, because it's not like they decreased the difficulty of the clan boss. They just added another higher difficulty. If anything, it should have given better rewards for the higher difficulty, but instead they nerfed the drops for the other ones. So doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of frustrating because now it's just less reward for the same thing that we used to have. So anyway, but at least you have one more tier. I don't know, it might be that the ultras are better than what Nightmare was, but I kind of have a feeling that ultra is going to be more work for the same rewards that we used to get on Nightmare, because that's what it's looking like so far. So anyway, moving down the line, as far as the tournaments, I really don't have much to say as far as tournaments. I mean, in all honesty, to date, as I'm sure those of you who play know already, the tournaments have been garbage. The rewards for the tournaments have been such a joke that most people haven't been participating. I mean, in the last tournament, I didn't bother farming even once. Not once, because I needed gear from other instances. I'm trying to max out a steel skull. So yeah, there was, okay, global leaderboard. I don't really care to look at the global leaderboard, but anyway, you have the whales who spent a ton of money on it, which makes no sense because the rewards are kind of trash. That was actually a while back when I saw somebody who maxed it out and they were really frustrated that they got a trash reward. Well, you saw what the reward was going to be. Why are you all upset about that? You expected them to give you more than what was offered? I don't understand. But anyway, as you can see, the rewards here were trash, like crit damage for those to turn in, and then coins, 125,000 coins. So you could maybe skill something from 13 to 14 if you're lucky. Anyway, and then this here, the 2250. I mean, that's okay, but it saves you time of having to max out champions, but definitely not worth the 2250 to have to earn that. So I don't know. That made no sense to me. Most of my clan wasn't even bothering with the tournaments. Hopefully they might make tournaments more worthwhile, but right now they're just catering to the whales that really want bragging rights more than anything else. So, moving down the line, champion balance. Astrolith. Haven't heard much about Astrolith yet. From what it looks like, it does look like she finally got buffed, which was long overdue. The heart rot seems nice, where now instead of it taking 2 turns to detonate, it's only 1 turn to detonate with a bomb. Bombs are great because they ignore the defense, so those can be devastating. I don't know above and beyond that how this is working with the exchanging the hit point levels and the extra turn and decreasing the cooldowns. I haven't heard much about her yet. She seems like she might be decent. I don't know if she's necessarily up to par with other legendaries, but she seems like she should be decent. Haven't heard anybody ranting and raving about her. She still is nice as far as the aura, though, where she gives that, you know, the speed 28% for arena, so that in and of itself is pretty nice. But anyway, haven't heard a whole lot. It seems like should be good because of this gaining the extra turn and decreasing the cooldown of the skill by 3 turns when the champion's HP drops below 20%. The only problem is how often are you really going to drop below 20% in arena and survive? I mean, so I don't know. Like I said, I haven't heard much. The bomb thing seems nice, but moving along the lines, Tomb Lord, I actually have. So I'm going to show you him in game. Honestly, now I'm going to let you know right now, if you've watched any of the videos of him being God broken in Spider, they've already nerfed that and fixed it. Honestly, I'm not that excited about his changes, and let me tell you why. Tomb Lord was the first legendary I ever got. I was so excited that I finally got a legendary, and then I realized that he was horrible. And the changes they've made have made him more viable, but I'm going to show you real quick first. This here is his most useful ability, his A3, the Blight, and where it resets the turn meter of all enemies with less than 50% hit points, and then he has an attack down, a defense down, and it gives him an extra turn if an enemy's turn meters reset. Now, my issue with this is that he could potentially be great for an attack and defense down champion for Arena. The problem is that you need to max out these debuff chances in order to make him really useful, where it's 100% chance. Otherwise, it's only 80% chance. If you have bad luck, he could turn out to be worthless because he doesn't do any damage with this still. It's still just a debuff. That's it. But the extra turn, if a turn meter's reset, well, the thing is that you should most likely be using this at the very, very start before they've blown their most powerful cooldowns, which means that their turn meters are not going to be that low, which means you're most likely not going to get an extra turn from them in Arena. And resetting the turn meter with less than 50% hit points, again, if you max this out, it's still 5 turns, so the likelihood of you casting this a second time in Arena is going to be low. So most likely they're not going to be below 50% hit points. So again, they have circumstances that are most likely not going to happen and that kind of contradict one another. Where with his debuffs, it seems like you want him to cast this immediately, as quickly as possible in Arena, but then at the same time he has other abilities that make it seem like you'd want him to go later. So anyway, I'm not that particularly impressed by it. Is it an improvement? Yes. Did they listen to the player base? Again, no. The players told them what was wrong with it. They ignored what the players told them was wrong and how to fix it, and instead made a change that's just confusing still. And then Death Burst, they did improve this, where it attacks an enemy if the hit's critical, 70% chance of placing 4 or 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for a turn. This has now made him on par with Aothar. Aothar is a epic champion, so he's on par with an epic as far as his poisons, which is not that great because, again, in order to make him on par with Aothar, you need to max out his cooldown skill here to get this down to 3 turns instead of 4. And obviously legendary tombs are much harder to come by than the epic tombs, so really in that sense he's worse than Aothar because he's harder to max out to get this cooldown. But anyway, the other issues with this is that it is a % chance rather than an automatic application. Okay, so that's another disadvantage, and I believe with Aothar he doesn't have that. I believe with Aothar he automatically places them. I could be wrong, but the problem with that is that it means that Night Revenant needs to have accuracy. So he needs to have a high crit rate and he needs to have accuracy. And actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I think it's yeah, so see, he doesn't need accuracy because each hit places a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. So he can actually go without accuracy, which is great. It automatically places the poison debuffs, and obviously all 4 are going to go on to him. So with him, he doesn't need accuracy. I didn't think he did, but I wanted to double check. So with Tomb Lord, since it's dependent on a critical hit and it's dependent on accuracy, you need to put a lot of accuracy and crit rate into him, which in my opinion makes him inferior to Aothar, especially considering Aothar you can max out with epic tombs, and this one you need to max out with legendary. And again, this one here, again, worthless on clan boss. Attacks one enemy 3 times, 30% decreased speed debuff. Again, this one could be decent in Arena, but the thing is that the problem is it's your A1. How often are you going to be using your A1 in Arena? If you're doing it right, you shouldn't be making it to your A1. The enemy should be dead by then. But in this one here, the poisons, yes, that could be nice. It's 20% of the enemy's hit points, but the thing is that there's other champions that can one-shot the enemy, and whereas this is only 20% of their hit points. So anyway, he's okay now. I'm not that impressed. The problem is that they've made him okay for clan boss, but not legendary okay. They've made him good for Arena, but not legendary good. With his A3 maxed out, yeah, he's probably going to be really good in Arena because he decreases attack, decreases defense. The weakness, of course, would be all that it would take would be a Spirit Host to make him worthless. But in Arena, yes, maxed out, he could be good. The problem is you have to max him out. Clan Boss, he's okay now. And yeah, overall, I'm not that impressed. It's an improvement, just not what we were expecting them to do with him, and he was God Power on Spider, but they've already nerfed that. Rage Lynn, I don't even want to touch on this. They made some changes to improve her slightly. I had Rage Lynn, obviously. I don't anymore. I used her for food. Yeah, I'm not even going to show you. She's not even in my roster anymore. I got rid of her because it was so frustrating that I'm not even sure which one she's in off the top of my head. But yeah, Ragelin, I had her. She's a void. I tossed her because after seeing what they did with this, the problem is that she's like the redheaded stepchild of Arbiter. She does single targets, whereas Arbiter does all the targets for comparable abilities. So, not that impressed by Ragelin. I used her for food once I saw this because I figured they're never going to really fix her. Dracomorph is now amazing for Clan Boss, and I'm going to show you why here. A3, 25% weaken and 60% decrease defense debuff, and you can get this down to 3 turns, which means you can have this up for every AoE attack of Clan Boss, which is amazing. He weakens and decreases defense both in one, so that in and of itself is spectacular for Clan Boss. In case that wasn't enough, he has the same ability that Aethar and Tomb Lord does, where its attacks 4 times at random. Each hit does a 5% poison debuff, and you can get it down to 3 turns. So he's comparable to them, and the thing that I like is he's like Aethar, where he doesn't need the accuracy to apply these debuffs. So that is amazing as well. His A1 hasn't really been changed in any way that's going to have a significant impact on Clan Boss, but just because of his A3 and his A2, he is now amazing for Clan Boss because he's a 2-in-1. He's a poisoner, and he's an attack down, and he's a defense down. So really, he's a 3-in-1, I should say. It'd be better to put it. But so of course, decreased defense is not necessary, but it's nice to have that against the boss. But a weaken is always great, and it's a 25%, which means it could stack with someone like, say, Tyrell. So yeah. Draco is now amazing on Clan Boss. I have a couple of clan members that are maxing him out. I don't have him, unfortunately. But Valkyrie. Valkyrie is now a great counterattack champion. I don't know how she is compared to Skullcrusher. I could be wrong, but from looking at it, I want to say she's still not as good as Skullcrusher, but she's decent. I like this where it's the turn meters increase each time an enemy champion places a buff, but that, I mean, on Clan Boss, nothing that spectacular. If you're looking for a counter on Clan Boss, in Arena, it could be decent. And then this one here is her counter. It places a shield buff on all allies and a counter attack on all allies, and it's proportional to her defense, which is nice because that means you want to load up defense on her. And then this one decreases turn meter. That's obviously not going to affect Clan Boss, but it could be decent on enemies in Arena, possibly in dungeons. So it seems like they haven't improved her where they decreased this stand firm, and now you could even get it down to 3 turns if you scale her up with skills. So she's a nice counterattack champion now. She's at least viable. I don't know how she was prior to that. Probably not viable considering how long the cooldown was on that, but she's decent now. So they have improved her some. With Baron, I'm not really sure how bad the nerf is as far as this bonus damage. I haven't had any experience against him and no rumors yet. I haven't seen Baron much in Arena, so I'm assuming he was probably pretty as it was. So I don't know why they significantly decreased that, because again, I haven't run into him very much, but I would imagine it must have been pretty hefty for them to nerf it. I don't know how bad the nerf was though, so I can't speak on that, but it seems like just one change there with him. So Alton is great in Arena from everything that I've seen. I mean, he can one-shot champions, he hits really, really hard, and he resurrects on top of that. As far as these changes here, I'm just kind of skimming over it because it's not a particularly huge change. He has an increased chance of placing a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns on Searing Blow. It's an increased chance, which is nice, but I didn't particularly see anything wrong with him to begin with. Again, he's a barbarian. He's a one-shot champion. Okay, so this is what's great about him. He revives a random ally with 30% hit points each time he kills an enemy, and it resets the cooldowns on this champion's skills if the champion kills an enemy and all allies are alive. So he can be really, really great in Arena. And then this skill here, increased defense and a shield. So that's really nice. And then on top of that, this A1 hits really hard. And yeah, so, and then now it can decrease attack too, because there's been many a times where I've been one shot by Alton. So anyway, so it seems like they buffed him a little bit, not a particularly huge change. So moving along the list, Seer. Seer, she's still nothing that great. I mean, they made the change where it has a 50% chance of placing a sleep debuff on all enemies for 1 turn and increasing the chances of it. So they've added a sleep to her, which is nice, but she's still not particularly that great. She's a barbarian. I'm actually going to head back in here. So where is Seer at? Oh, I apologize. She's not a barbarian. She is an orc. So, oh, and a crash. Great. That is one of the problems too with this new patch, is the game crashing. It's not crashing that much on my iPhone, but it is crashing a lot on BlueStacks, and it's really freaking frustrating. But anyway, alright, so heading back to the index here. Oh, God forbid you don't try to sell me something. Alright, so heading to the orcs. Like I said, Seer is in here. I don't have her on this account. I do have her on an alt account, but I used her as food because she's trash. Alright, so this is the one that's been changed, her A3, where it now has a chance of placing a sleep debuff and removes all buffs from all animal allies and attacks. So, I mean, that's decent, and the sleep along with it is nice, but the thing is that, I mean, she does an increased crit rate and a weaken debuff. That is okay. And this is 15% chance of granting an extra turn. Again, that's okay. Oh, wow. Wow. This is, you see how ridiculous this is. And I'm not even editing this out. I mean, it shows, if Polarium, if you're seeing this, get your act together. Don't let patches go live when they're this buggy, where things are crashing, and then guarantee when I get back in, they're going to try to sell me something. Why am I going to buy anything in your game when you can't even make your game run right? So, anyway, I'm going to head down the line here. So, Seer, nothing that particularly spectacular. She's better, but I still don't see her as anything that great. Faceless, damage significantly increased. The problem is that he's still worthless. Not sure for any of you that are familiar with Faceless, but he's a, if I remember correctly, Void champion in Night Revenants here. And yeah, I had him a while back, used him as food because he's worthless. The thing is his A3, it ignores shield and block damage buffs, as well as defense. I mean, that's decent, and it hits modestly, but not modestly enough. And then a 30% increase on him, and then attacks an enemy. Again, it's only him that gets the buffs, so again, not that impressed. Attacks one enemy, 15% of an extra hit, but no debuffs. So again, I don't see Faceless as anything that great. The change, I don't know. I don't see, I mean, where it's significantly increased. Maybe he's decent now, but I wouldn't use him. Terror Beast, this one here, the Reflect is nice. Overall, he's still not that spectacular. I mean, he has a great lockdown, and I'm going to show you him, but if I remember correctly, I believe he's in Demons. No. Is he in Demons? No. He's... Anyway, the thing is I'm not particularly impressed by him as far as Terror Beast. I believe he's somewhere in here. But anyway, with Terror Beast, nothing that particularly spectacular. Yeah, I'm not even sure where Terror Beast is at here. He might be in Orcs, but regardless, his Reflect is nice, but he's still overall not that great. His lockdown is great, sure, with the stun, where he has the stun debuff now. So he could be decent for a lockdown. I guess he's on par with an okay epic, but not anything that great. So moving down the line here, Jurang he's decent for arena now. I mean, he has an attack and a defense down. He's got a stun. This cooldown being decreased makes it pretty decent. But again, he's not a champion that I'm particularly that impressed by, so I'm just kind of skimming over that. And Vergis is the problem with Vergis is still only one target. Still not that great. I'm not impressed by Vergis. So, I mean, they've made some improvements here, but I just don't see it as that great. Steel Bowyer, I feel bad for anybody that has Steel Bowyer because they buried Steel Bowyer. For those of you who don't know, Steel Bowyer was really overpowered for clan boss. There was videos that I seen of Steel Bowyer doing upwards of 600,000 damage on this attack here, the big game where it attacked 3 times. I saw, not even exaggerating, a champion that was hitting for about 200,000 each turn of, well, each attack of big game. So for about 600,000 total each hit with big game, which was insane. So I can't blame Plarium for nerfing it, but the nerf is just burying her. It's like what they did with Painkeeper, where they gave Painkeeper 3 nerfs in one, and now Painkeeper's garbage, and that happened recently. And then now Steel Bowyer did the same exact thing. They buried her. Anybody who put skills into her, it was wasted, and now she's trash for clan boss. She's not particularly great anywhere else either, so a lot of people are furious, and I can't blame them. Fortunately, I kept Steel Bowyer in my vault because I had a feeling that with how overpowered she was, they were going to nerf her. Some people tried to exploit that, and that's kind of what they get. For people that weren't aware of the exploit, though, I do feel bad for them. Anyway, other than that, moving along here, the Void Shard summoning chances have been adjusted, which has been brought up, which makes sense, but I'm still not that impressed because you look at the Void champions, there's still a lot of them that are not that great. I mean, like I said, there was the Ragelin here, or Raglin, whatever the name is, which, I mean, they buffed her, but not to the point where she's that great, certainly not on par with legendaries. And so, like I said, as soon as I saw that, I used her as food. I mean, it's sad when you're using legendary Void champions as food. So anyway, Tomb Lord is okay, but I mean, the Tomb Lord buff again, but I mean, he's not a Void, of course. But so anyway, as far as the minor changes, the artifact upgrade, God only knows what this is going to be. It's implemented to streamline the process. God only knows what they see as far as that. But anyway, an option to delete. I'm assuming that this means that if you go to use a champion as food and they have artifacts on them, you're going to get a heads up before they just disappear. And anyway, I'm not sure exactly how that's working, the option to delete. It's a little bit confusing here, but where you lose the artifact, removing it costs no silver. I don't know. Anyway, option to open a specific affinity keep for 24 hours. This one, I feel like this is pretty steep. 200 gems for the affinities and then 300 for the void. I feel like that's harsh. I mean, I don't know. I understand, like, if you're in a real rush to get Arbiter, so you're trying to open up particular ones as quick as possible and get through that. I understand that, but for 200 gems, I mean, I could just think of much better things to spend 200 gems on. So, anyway, but I mean, at least they've added that option, so it's like a little bit more versatility in the game, which is nice. But personally, I don't see myself using it. And then adjusted the multi-battle. I'm not even sure what they adjusted on that. I haven't noticed any difference myself, but I haven't really paid much attention to it. To me, it functions the same way that it used to for me. The artifact drops, the artifact's more likely to drop. I disagree. I've had I farmed them myself as well as clan members. We haven't noticed any significant change, but I mean, you know how Plarium is. The more likely to drop could mean that there's a 0.0001% increase compared to what it used to be, and that's an increase to them. So you never know. I mean, it hasn't been anything significant for sure. The decreased drop rate for the high rank legendaries on the ones below that, I'm not sure either. From what I've heard, there hasn't been a particularly significant decrease on that either, but overall it doesn't seem like it's really been a huge change on that, so the people at the very top still don't have much of an advantage compared to the people who are still not there yet farming 20. One thing that is good though, this here, where these champions that were moved from the Sacred Shard, Shaman, Jizzo, Haikatun, Yaga, Dark Athel, it's great that they removed them from the Sacred Shard summons. I'm really happy to see that. But it's not huge because there's still a lot of champions that you can get that are trash. So they made some changes in the game, but I'm not that impressed. Other than Dracomorph they've made amazing. Other than that, I haven't heard anything particularly spectacular about anybody else. It seems like they made Astrolith a little bit more viable, but I'm not that impressed by her either. She seems okay now, but nothing like wow. And you would think after how long she's been unviable for that they would want to try to make her really impressive. So say you've had this champion for months sitting and collecting dust in your vault, you know, let's give you something really fun. But anyway. And they fixed some bugs, but I mean, you fix some bugs, but then now your game's crashing frequently, so I don't see what good that is. But anyway, so that's about all that I got for today, guys. And yeah, if you have any info that I didn't post in here, definitely post it in the comments and let us know. But otherwise, handful of changes, still no faction wars, regretfully. Faction wars is still just left waiting for when is faction wars going to happen, if any, if ever. But anyway, so yeah, guess that's about it for now. You guys have any questions, post in the comments. Anything that I missed, post in the comments. Otherwise, that about covers the changes for now. So anyway, I will catch you guys in the next video. Hi guys, this is Anthony here, also known on this channel as AscendantGod. Wanted to thank you for checking out my channel here, really appreciate it. Be sure to check out the other videos. I got plenty of goodies on here. Also check out the description sections in the videos, got plenty of links on there for all different kinds of goodies that I think would be worthwhile for you guys. If there is something in particular that you don't see on my channel that you want to see, be sure to let me know in the comment section as well. And I think that's about it. All I've got. I'm just going to get back to this thing here. I'm pretty sure if I just... Oh,
we have such sights to show you.
Wow. That's really funny. Same here.